No, I didn't start recording.
Oh, so you didn't record any of that?
I didn't record any of that.
Oh, you're a fucking idiot. No,
Hey, dude,
cool.
that's a lot better than where it's gone about 2 hours in with no recording.
Really? We're not gonna be out for 2 hours, are we?
No. We got like 20 minutes left. But thanks for bringing me this Aztec mocha.
That place, like I was saying earlier, that place really lends itself to this idea I had that lesbians make the best coffee. I don't know what it is, but something about being lesbian requires caffeine. I think maybe it just requires a lot more focus you have to get past all your own woman shit and then deal with another woman's shit, I think.
Oh.
Like with enough caffeine, you become more masculine, I think.
Is that right?
Yeah.
It's an alpha type thing, right?
Focus?
Having coffee and caffeine, get the day started,
I guess.
Right? People who get shit done.
Lesbians get shit done, man.
Right, no, but that's what I'm saying is like, are you sexist, do you think, or no?
I mean, I think my girlfriend's better than me, so if I'm sexist, I think I'm sexist against men. But I'm definitely there. I think I'm like I've had this conversation with members of the LGBTQ. My friend who's like studied what's that called? They don't allow it here in Texas, like gender studies. Like he went into school and then he did classes in gender studies. He explained to me how I'm non-binary. But I'm non-binary in a different way because there's Lucas McCreary. And he's the kind of non-binary where sometimes he's male, sometimes he's female. I'm the kind of non-binary where I'm neither.
Interesting.
Like I learned that like the way I figured it out is my ego. I identify more as my brain than my gender.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, you got nothing to do with that? You got nothing? You got no...
I'm thinking about it. I think that's an interesting way to put it. I think for me, sometimes it's hard for me to relate to a lot of that stuff because I've never really put that much identity into gender at all. Do you get what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So it's like,
but
it's like saying like, to me, based on, and it's more serious than this. This is me exaggerating a little, but being like, I don't identify with having brown hair. It's like, it's just not like I more just think about male, female, and that I don't put that much into like the societal like I'm just me, Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what I'm saying. However, it's one step. Like if it wasn't for the amount of testosterone I have, I would be totally asexual. Like I think.
Yeah.
Like I even think sex in itself is a waste of time.
Sexual intercourse.
Yes.
Is a waste of time. Yeah, I mean probably if you don't have any interest in it. Do you not have any interest in it? You're asexual?
No, I have a girlfriend.
Yeah.
But like that's only because like if
you don't think she's hot.
No, I do. But like if I didn't have sex, I know I'd go crazy.
Why?
But it serves only a biological function. Right,
same with like food, right?
I guess so. I guess we just went on a long road to finding out that I'm normal. I don't know. I just think, but then I start thinking about masculine and feminine and how, and then like I don't really enjoy like that masculine bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not that I enjoy like feminine bullshit, but
right.
I don't really like. I have 3 macho older brothers and 3 super feminine older sisters.
Yeah.
And I can tell I can't lean in either direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I find myself closer towards a perfect neutral.
Yeah, I get it. But I think for me, like...
not that I'm perfect, but yeah.
I think it's interesting because... And I think people do whatever the hell you want, whatever makes you happy.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, sometimes I'm like... when somebody says like I don't identify with society's like definition of a man. Well, that's just, you're just putting value into something else. Like the word man means whatever you want it to mean, like the traits about it, like it gets tricky when we're talking about gender versus sex.
It's very confusing stuff. Like that's why I said like it had to be explained to me.
So that's why, to me, I look at, okay, what is the reason why we have genders or sex? Is there any purpose to...
I wanted to be more specific than saying the big one with the dick.
But what purpose does that serve?
Well, there are like you wanted. I assume it's like a competition thing. Like we needed people for the army. Like we needed people to fight in wars. We needed people to hunt.
And they're like, call me crazy, but it seems like the guys with the penis are a lot stronger than the ones with the vaginas typically.
Kinda. That's what it seems like. Those rope having motherfuckers can really chase down an antelope. That's a good question. I don't think at a certain point I think gender doesn't serve a purpose, which is why like I used to think about this more often, that like gender, like people who are ultra masculine or ultra feminine just are very uninteresting people in general. Like if you lean into your gender as the majority of what your personality is, you're probably not that interesting.
Yeah, and that goes with anything.
Yeah.
Anybody who's
or a
too much
guy.
into whatever it is, dude. If you're too into canoeing, if you're too into comedy, if you're too into dogs, whatever, cars, if that's all you can talk about or think about, it's like we like people who are multifaceted, people who
are useful.
Yeah.
And if you're only useful in one respect, you're not very useful.
Yeah. Well, and I think sometimes it can maybe make people feel not special to be boxed into like, hey, there's two things. There's male and female, and you go, wait, but there's all these other things about me. I'm Anthony Martin. What, you're forgetting about this, and this. Mm-hmm. And for me to just say, no, you're just a man, can make you feel...
you're just a man.
It simplifies things.
Yeah.
People don't want to be simplified, maybe.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But to me, being a man or a woman is just a small piece of the whole puzzle of you. That's the way I look at it. I don't look at it as you fitting into that. I look at it that fitting into you. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think that the main function of gender previously in like the grouping is from a leadership perspective. Like if you were a leader, right? And me as, let's say I'm a leader, I can only help out because I have several nephews and a niece. I can help all of these young men deal with like being a young man, but I can barely help a young woman.
Why?
Well, I can offer wisdom from my perspective, but that's more from my perspective, and I won't understand her experience as much as, say, a woman would.
Right. Yeah, so there is a difference to it. But it's hard to sometimes explain but there's just, there is a different experience. Dude, even talking to like female comedians, who tell me that they're like, they don't feel comfortable going to certain mics late at night by themselves and stuff. That's something that that's never crossed my mind ever. I've never been like, oh, the 10 o'clock mic at the Creek in the Cave, that'll be sketchy. I'm not going to that.
But in that respect, women will never understand a certain kind of loneliness that a man can have. Like you can ultimately be left to your own devices and expected to deal with it by yourself. And if you aren't able to deal with it by yourself, then you're lesser of a man.
Oh, you're saying based on the societal.
Exactly. Like if you were on a date with a girl and you were driving and you just let her out of your car and she's by herself in a place that she doesn't know, and like now she has to figure out what to do, you're a huge asshole. But if a woman did that to you and you're on a date, yeah, she's an asshole, but also like, dude, come on, like, get your shit together. Like, you're up. So what? You're on the corner of whatever and whatever. Get an Uber, walk home, figure it out.
Yeah, and I think that's how it should be.
Yeah, because there's far less likelihood that we're gonna get raped.
Right. Yeah, but it does. But when it comes to different, there's different aspects of life where everybody still needs a hug. Everybody still wants companionship. And
Yeah.
so, do you think, do you do well alone? Are you good at,
I used to
by
be
your
better
lonesome?
at it. Ever since I've been in my relationship, I feel like being alone has gotten harder. Because now we're in a long distance relationship.
Right.
Because we were together in Portland, and then I moved down to Austin, and she's planning on we're figuring out the plans to get her to move down here.
Mm-hmm.
But she's currently doing some school program in Portland.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to relearn how to be alone.
Mm.
And even so, I'm not nearly as alone as I previously was before meeting her.
Yeah.
Like, I was far, far more alone. And that makes, I think, you develop a certain kind of hardness that I lost. And I've had to regain portions of that. But I still have certain, I'm free of certain temptations that make being alone difficult. Like, if you're alone and you want to have sex, you have to spend time cultivating a relationship with a stranger to whom have sex with. Versus if you're by yourself and you're in a long distance relationship like me, I don't have that responsibility. I don't have that temptation. I don't have any that entire facet of being alone is taken care of, and I can focus on work far more.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's hugely advantageous.
Right.
In comparison to like what I see a lot of people go through.
Yeah. This feels great. We got a nice little breeze right now.
Mm-hmm.
I can't complain about this at all.
Oh, I can totally complain. I'm great at complaining.
Are you hot right now at all?
Yes.
I mean, you do have pants on, so maybe we're differed in that. You also got that mane that keeps you nice and warm.
That's true. Yeah, I'm thinking about getting a haircut, actually.
Oh, really?
This seems like a lot to deal with.
I was just perusing through your Instagram.
Really?
And
I haven't had the long hair for long. Yeah, I don't even look like the guy on my Instagram.
I know, just like a little over a year ago, you looked like a completely different person.
I've had several moments. I really struggle with what I look like because I've changed so many times. Like, there have been many times in my life where I look like one guy, and the next year I look totally different. And it's like I'm always trying to improve, and I'm always working out. I'm always, I don't really care what my hair like this. I'm not superficial, so I let my outward appearance change a lot because it doesn't bother me. It's just up to whether or not my girlfriend likes my facial hair. I stop shaving it. I don't have access to free haircuts like I did previously. I let it grow out. I'm letting the world change me.
Did you know what she's doing? She actually doesn't like your facial hair.
I'm just ugly.
No, but you're away, and she wants to try to make you as unattractive as possible so that you can.
Yeah, there's something.
So that you're not. She wants you to be scrubbed. She's like, stop working out. Just let your facial hair grow. Just wear, shitty clothes.
Yeah. Who cares what you look like?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Why'd you brush your hair today? Oh, no reason to do that. I'm on the other side of the country. What? What?
I definitely think that it's
kidding.
a girlfriend's job to provide some level of adversity to your life. Like, she purposefully made me fat.
Really?
Like, she bakes a lot. Like, she'll bake like 6 cakes in a day, and then she'll demand that I eat some of it. And if I don't, it's like, oh, you don't like my food. And it's like, all right, I'll have some. And then it's like, oh, you only had 1 bite. Eat more.
Oh, you give in too easily.
Well, I like sex, so.
Nah, but it's even a reverse psychology on top of that, because everybody wants what they can't have, and you being like, fuck your cake. In the moment, she's gonna be pissed, but then she's gonna go away and she's gonna be like, fuck.
Yeah, I have noticed.
Hot. That was hot. He hates me. Spit on me. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Whenever I ask her to make me a baked good, she
Yeah.
doesn't do it. Like, if I make a request.
See? And how do you think about that? You're like, wow, she's so cool. She doesn't give a fuck about me.
She doesn't give a fuck what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if she was just like, oh, Anthony, whatever you want, you get annoyed by that. You're just like,
I definitely think less
too
of her.
easy. You definitely think less of her?
Yeah, if she was just like a people pleaser all the time. My
Right.
girlfriend's so fucking mean.
The-
So that's why we get along, because I'm way meaner than I think I come off. Or nicer. I don't know. I feel like I've been letting it out a lot more often.
Really?
I don't know. What was your first impression of me? Was I like mean when you met me? Did I seem like a dick?
What was my first impression of you?
Stupid hair.
No. I'm trying to think. I mean, dude, honestly, when I first moved out here, you meet so many comedians and stuff, and like everybody probably thinks that this like, oh, what? And I think about this too. What is this person? But probably for most people, it's just like, I don't know, just another guy, a person.
My first impression of you was like, that guy is very new to this.
Oh, really?
Not that you were bad. Okay, there, I said it. When I first saw you, I was like, wow, this pretty much sucks. But then the next few times I saw you, you had gotten better and better at hosting, the Roma room,
Yeah.
and you had like some really killer riffs after people's sets, and I was like, hey, you're like you care, and that's what I
Thank
look
you.
for in a lot of comedians. And I try and exercise not caring as much as I can, because like I've been like, and I used to care so much about what people thought about me.
Yeah.
And that's why I literally have to exercise not giving a shit,
Yeah.
because I'm like agoraphobic slightly. Like I'm afraid of other comedians.
What does agoraphobic mean
And
again?
you're afraid to go outside.
Oh.
But
I mean, do you hit a lot of mics? Sometimes I feel like
do.
I go
No.
through waves of seeing you and then not seeing you.
well,
But it's also there's so many mics, so it could be you're just at different ones.
I get caught up with life. Like I
Yeah,
had to go
I
down
feel
to
it, man.
California for a week. It was my sister's wedding, and then I got back in town, and my car started blowing out black smoke,
Oh yeah.
and so I needed to get a new car, and I couldn't go do mics.
Mm.
It's a grind, man.
Yeah.
Lately, it's been a battle between like my free time. Like I have to pick one thing or the other.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, well, I have to get a car. I'm not gonna Uber to Mike's.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's hard to be consistent. Things come up. I'm already not looking for. Well, I have to go to my brother's wedding for a week in California, and
Who gives a shit? Like, who wants to go to weddings? Like, why? Like, we get it. You guys fuck, and you're gonna continue to fuck.
thank you.
Probably gonna make little versions of yourself.
Yeah, dude, I'm 100% with you. I hate to, I mean, it's my brother's wedding. I hate to be like, and I'm looking forward to going to see family kind of. I mean, yes, I am looking forward, but it's also like, I'm kind of like you in a way. It's hard for me, like socializing with people in big settings and stuff. I just want to hide sometimes.
Do you feel like you can openly be yourself to the maximum, like the farthest ends of your spectrum? No one can.
No.
So why would us as comedians who want to practice finding that range and
Yeah.
practicing within that range of our ability
Uh-huh.
want to now suppress ourselves for a week around our family,
Yeah.
around people who are definitely going to judge us and are expecting to find new things about us? Like, oh, what have you been up to? And I've been telling this joke about fucking a cat. How about you, Mom?
But I would say, and I think similarly to you, but do they even care? Does anybody give a shit? Is anyone thinking about us as hard as we're thinking about them thinking about us? Nobody gives a shit about anyone.
Yeah, that is true. We are thinking about them thinking about us.
Yeah. I mean, are you thinking about that one cousin of yours or that aunt who's doing, you don't give a shit.
I really don't.
And you'll go up and you'll say, hey, how's it going?
But you know what I will think about? The fact that they put me at the fucking kids' table. Dude, they put me at the kids' table with my 19-year-old nephew, and then...
At your sister's wedding?
At my sister's wedding. And then the guy sitting next to me was 29, and he's like going nowhere in life, and he's my cousin.
Yeah.
And it makes me go, so he's at the kids' table, and I'm at the kids' table, and we're not kids. So is this the kids/fuck-up table? That sneeze almost tipped us over. Is this the kids/fuck-up table? And then he gets super fucked up and starts talking shit about my mom to me. And like to the point where he's like, "Fuck it, your mom," and just like, I'm like, all right, this is a good time.
But earlier we were talking about comedy and like first impressions and stuff, and like that we care so much about what other people think, or that you said you do. And
I think I have to, because comedy is such like a networking thing. Like, this is content for the internet, and I can't do it without you, and you can't do it without, well, you could do it without me, but you need guests. So you need to be likable, you need to have a network, you need to put yourself out there. And that stresses me out because it feels like I have something to prove, and I've been feeling that way for 6 years. So I don't want to keep doing that. I don't want to have to. I want to just be at the point where I am who I am, and you either fuck with me or you don't. And I'm trying to maintain that mentality, and it's just hard when people see you and they determine that you have nothing to offer, and they pass you up. Versus my friend DJ, who's giving me opportunities. And I asked him, I was like, hey, I'm looking to open up a mic/show and get paid for it. What is your advice? What can I do? And the people who are receptive to my willingness to learn and my willingness to work hard are the people that I'm gonna not just work for, but I am going to push them, and they're going to push me.
Yeah.
Because we are both, in the end, in a pursuit of greatness. Like, I want to be the best stand-up comedian I can be, and then once I reach that level, I want to be one of the best of the best. Like, if I can be put in the name of like Ron White, Jesselnick, Dave Chappelle, Kevin Hart, that would be I would be thrilled. And not just. And it doesn't matter if I get on Rogan or something like that, like those big podcasts, those big milestones, because you can make it yourself. Like, Rogan did it himself, and who knows what's going to happen in 10 years. And I'm trying my best to do it my way and not think about what other people do and how other people are reacting to me. Because in the end, like, I went through this whole like 3-week period recently where I was like, I have no fucking friends. And now I'm here on a canoe with you. You're like, I'm not your fucking friend. But
do you think we're friends?
I like to think so. I'd be pleasantly surprised if you said yes.
Yeah, we're friends.
But my buddy Evan, like, I have this guy.
Wait, surprised if I said yes?
I'd be pleasantly surprised. I know we're acquaintances, but like, there are people that I see a lot that aren't my friends.
Yeah.
I think ultimately it comes down to effort. Like, there's this professional fighter, he's injured, so it's not like I'm training with like him at his tippy top, but we train together. Like, he's teaching me boxing because we live in the same apartment community. But he 1 week we were talking, and I was just like, yeah, I gotta get new shoes. And he's like, oh, what kind of shoes do you wear? And I'm like, I don't know, whatever. Like, what size are you? And I'm like 12, 13, depends on the shoe, because I have like wide feet, I got wonky feet. And next time I saw him, he had new shoes for me.
Wow.
I'm like, what are these? And he's just like, new shoes. I bought them for you. And I'm like, why? He's like, you're my friend. You needed shoes. I got you some shoes. I'm like, dude, I have other shoes, but thank you. Like, I really appreciate this. Like, you really didn't have to do this.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, it's really sweet of him. And like, before I was training with him, I taught my nephews how to box. And one of my younger nephews, he's 13. He went to a boxing gym like every day for 6 months, and he can really fight. And so every new thing I learn, and when I go back to California, I teach it to him, and I train with him, and we have that bond. Like, me and my nephew bond over boxing.
Yeah.
And I make him better, and watching him be as good as he is, as young as he is, makes it, he is just me but better. And it makes me really happy to see how far he's come. But I told that to my buddy Lawrence. I'm just like, hey man, it's so interesting the way knowledge is that you've taught me and I taught my nephew. And he's 32, I believe. 32, 24, 14. Oh, actually he's 16. I have no idea how old these kids are. And he's 16.
But do you feel like sometimes you don't feel that same sort of friendship or camaraderie within stand-up comedy?
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah.
Definitely not. Because a lot of people don't realize that if you're around people who are super funny, that makes you better. But if you're around people who are not funny at all, that makes you worse. Unless if they work on their personality. Like, I realized that I've worked on my personality more than in stand-up, I think.
Yeah.
And not to say I haven't worked on like actual stand-up stuff, like writing and joke stuff and stage presence, but I think that as a personality, I'm stronger than as a comedian. But that's just because I've done a lot of improv.
Oh, okay.
I've hosted a lot.
Yeah.
And so I'm more comfortable being a guy on stage than necessarily the joke teller.
Yeah. There's a difference. I feel the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm better at podcasting and hosting than writing and doing a performance. It's harder. It's because it's acting. Part of it's acting. Stand-up.
Stand-up what? Okay. I was going to say like hosting, not so much, but...
No, I'm saying hosting is improv. Podcast is improv. It's real thinking on your feet more. And there's some of that within stand-up, but the core of stand-up is you wrote these jokes and you've been perfecting them.
Yeah.
And doing them a bunch of times, and you're rehearsing, and now you're giving a performance.
Yeah.
Most of it. And then there's some improv in between there, and you're doing different takes, and you're playing off the crowd and doing crowd work.
But your improvisations add to it. It's like layering, or sharpening a sword is another common expression for like writing a joke. But you have to have the mind to make it up on the fly to begin with, because when you first wrote the joke, it was coming from nowhere. Like I have a whole bit about how I want Ariana Grande to lose a leg, and that was just something I thought of because I couldn't think of anything else, and it was just like a guttural, like, what do I feel right now? And I was just like, fuck Ariana Grande.
So, you did comedy in LA for how long?
Up until COVID, from the time I was 18 till COVID. And then I moved to Portland, and I was getting... Huh?
Any comedy there?
It felt like I was the only comedian in Portland, really. I went to the Helium Comedy Club, and I was like, I'll work for free. I have another job, and then I'll come here, and I'll work in the kitchen. I'll do whatever the fuck, as long as I can get on a stage. And they said no. Because there were people that I would basically be putting a guy that they want to pay out of a job. Like if they need 2 people, I would just be standing around. Because they want to be able to pay their previous guys. I tried to get on things, and like nothing was really happening because Portland was super disciplined about the whole don't gather, mask up, be safe.
Were you thinking you could stick around in Portland before you went and like, I'll do comedy in Portland for a bit?
That's ultimately why I moved, because I felt, as happy as I was in Portland, I felt incomplete. Like there was a hollowness to my existence because I was like, I'm not doing comedy.
Yeah, you've been doing comedy since you were a kid. That's crazy.
Yeah. Or not, well, 18 isn't really a kid. Yeah. I mean, it is in some respects, but like...
I mean, were you in high school or you had graduated?
I had graduated. I had done one semester of college.
Yeah.
And then I started doing stand-up.
That's crazy.
But, yeah, I started doing street comedy. And so I bought a speaker and a mic, and I just went out into the street because I saw these people outdoor dining, and I went, I could tell them jokes. Like, that's like a small audience. And this is when I realized, I had a realization where I would be out here doing this, and people would try and put money in my hand. And I'd be like, oh, I didn't do this for money. And they're just like, here you go, thank you. And like, when I would say, I would like walk up to people, because in LA, it's like, asking someone to come to your comedy show is like a big ask. Like it's...
Yeah, it's like, can you watch my dog this weekend?
Yeah, it's a chore for them.
Yeah. Can you pick me up from the airport?
Exactly. But in Portland, they were like, "Oh, you're gonna tell us a joke? Oh, everybody, shh!
Yeah,
he's gonna tell us a joke. Hey, we have a comedian over here." Right. And it felt like a gift. Like I was gonna give them something. Like oh, you brought us cake. Everybody, have some cake.
Yeah.
And that was eye-opening because then they would be like a lady put $20 in my hand. And one night I put some pressure on myself and I was like, I don't want to come home until I have $20. And that's when it happened. I did.
And that's how you ended up sucking dick in the alleyway.
But that's
But you got your $20.
I treated stand up like I had to survive on it
Yeah.
for a night. And honestly, that the first night I did street comedy, I walked around for probably 2 hours before I actually decided to ask someone if I could do it. I walked around for 2 hours, and then finally I saw there was what's it called when you greet a greeter? It's called when you greet people. It was a greeter outside of a supermarket, and I was like, hey man, and I would dress up in like dress pants, belt, tucked in black shirt, tie, speaker, microphone. And I was just like, hey man, can I tell you a joke? And he's like, what? And I'm like, I'm a comedian, I'm going around telling jokes, can I tell you a joke? And he's like, sure. And I pulled out my microphone, plugged it in, turned on the speaker, and I started telling him jokes. Another employee walked by, he started listening to me, and then they were like, hey, we kind of have to get back to work. And I was like, okay. But that took the load off of me. And then I went over to like where the like bigger groups of people were, and I just started asking people, and people would like there were two couples that were sitting on a bench, and I asked them if I could do that, and they what did they do? One couple really liked me. They were laughing. They were like, haha, like they're enjoying it. The other couple just like straight faced, like glaring at me, like, can you get the fuck out of here? Like to me. But I did this on Halloween, and that really gave me a ton of confidence, because I went out on Halloween, and I'm outside this like outdoor bar, and I asked some people if I could do stand up to them while they waited to get into the bar, and then they're like, sure. They get told to come in, and they're like, come in with us. I was like, okay. And they're like, we have more people coming. Do you want to wait? And I was like, yes. And so now I'm doing stand up to a table of like 13, 15 people. And then when I was done, they all gave me like $5. I was like, fuck yeah, that was awesome. Like the adrenaline rush of just like, I felt like I robbed a bank. I was like, this is amazing.
Is there anything else you wanted to say before we get out of here?
Can I promote my socials?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Follow me on Instagram at the Anthony Martin. I try and post things there when things come up. Although I'm very self-conscious and I want to make sure all my shit is good because I'm a perfectionist. I do have stuff in the works. And then follow my TikTok. It's hey, what should my name be? I'm planning on making a return. I was posting stuff every day for probably like a month and a half, and then I stopped because of life, and I'm planning on starting to do that again. But yeah, I'm getting into drone stuff. You'll probably see me tagged in drone footage soon. I'm buying a new drone. And you'll probably see me in Nico's other stuff because I'll be doing drone footage for him. So please follow me and give Nico a like and subscribe.